Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Age of Apocalypse, I had mentioned in the last couple videos that we're going to try our best to cover at least 2 issues at a time when it comes to each of our videos. And the reason why, because, okay, when it came to Marvel Comics, when they had released this event back in 1995, they kind of gave us a lot of different books all at once. You had the Factor X book, Generation X, the Amazing X-Men, the Astonishing X-Men, and the list goes on. It kind of got a tad bit confusing for fans out there because over the time you're kind of wondering what is the actual reading order for this event. Now, over the years, you had different people go out of their way to create different reading orders for this event. And sometimes you may read one particular issue from one series, but then you have to jump over to a completely different series to read a different issue that goes along with the one you just read a moment ago. And so it kind of got a tad bit confusing for fans over the years. And so for us, I kind of felt like it just made more sense for us to go ahead and cover at least 2 issues per video. And so today's video, we're going to cover the Amazing X-Men issue number 2 and also Factor X issue number 2. And to be honest here, I kind of like the opening pages for Amazing X-Men issue number 2. And here's the reason why, because we do pick up with a character known as Abyss. Now, when it comes to Abyss, he's one of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. But here's the catch, because this is not our first time seeing this character in this reality. You see, when it came to Abyss in the earlier parts of our coverage, we knew that he was in Horsemen of Apocalypse, but the thing was, we had no idea what his powers truly was until this exact moment. Now, for Abyss, when it comes to his arms and legs, they're kind of like coils, being able to pull people inside of him as well. Now, inside the body of Abyss, it leads into a completely different dimension that's full of darkness. And so it's kind of showing us how cool and powerful this character truly is. Now, for Abyss, he's currently holding on to a young boy we saw in our last video. You see, in our last video for the Amazing X-Men series, we had talked about the idea of the Human High Council wanting to try their best to save the lives of humans who are still trapped inside North America, because by this point in the timeline, Apocalypse is the sole ruler of North America, and so he has been going around killing off humans left and right in the entire continent of North America. So for the Human High Council, their main goal right now is to get as many humans as they can away from North America, but to also drop nuclear bombs on North America to hopefully kill off Apocalypse. But there was a young boy who heard the Sentinels coming to save the human lives, and so he wanted a better view. Unfortunately, he was grabbed by Abyss at the end of our last video for the Amazing X-Men. But now we have to jump over to the Amazing X-Men team. Now remember, in this timeline, you have 2 different X-Men teams, the Astonishing X-Men and the Amazing X-Men. Now the Astonishing X-Men, it really does focus more on Rogue and her team trying their best to stop Apocalypse from being able to bring more havoc over to, well, Chicago. And the Amazing X-Men team, their main goal is to help out the Human High Council to save the lives of the humans who are currently in Maine wanting to go over to Eurasia to get somewhere safe. Now, with all that being said, you see, for the Amazing X-Men, their first goal was to upload a virus into the Sentinel programs. And the reason why, because for our heroes, they're on the side of the Human High Council. But the problem was the Sentinels, their main program was to protect human lives, which also mean killing off mutants as well. But the X-Men, they're on the side of the Human High Council. But either way, for our heroes, they had this virus that should change the programs of the Sentinels to no longer attack them. But at the end of our last video, Iceman got blasted by one of them, and we had no idea why until the very end, because it was the Brotherhood of Chaos who had changed the programs of the virus, or really changed the programs of the Sentinels to begin to attack our heroes, starting off with Iceman. But as we get into Amazing X-Men issue number 2, it's really more of us picking up with our heroes realizing what's going on. It's the Brotherhood of Chaos, and they have no choice but to go ahead and try to fight against them. Now, 2 members of the Brotherhood was able to sneak away and try to hide in the crowd of humans who are currently waiting to leave North America to go over to Eurasia. Now, with all that being said, for Quicksilver, he realized he has no choice and to try his best to stop the 2 who are trying to sneak away. Now, one of them is a character known as Copycat. Now, for Copycat, she is a mutant who has the ability to shapeshift, to change her appearance. And so for Copycat, it's her right now trying her best to hide in the crowd of humans. Well, you do have Quicksilver being able to find her. The problem is that she took the form of the Scarlet Witch. Now, in this reality, the Scarlet Witch died years ago. She died in X-Men Chronicles issue number 1 that took place 5 years prior to the point where you had Apocalypse being able to become the ruler of North America. Now, with all that being said, because for Quicksilver, he's now seen the face of his dead sister, he freezes up, and that allows the Brotherhood of Chaos to attack him. Now, he is saved at the very last second by Dazzler. The problem is that the Sentinels have now been programmed to attack the X-Men thanks to the Brotherhood of Chaos. And so now Dazzler is being attacked by the Sentinels. Now, she is saved by Exodus and also Storm, but the problem is that the Sentinels are no longer on their side. But on top of that, one of the members of the Brotherhood of Chaos was able to get away. Now, luckily, Banshee saw that one, tried to get away, and you have Banshee try his best to chase him down. And that will be the Cardinal Madre. Now, once you do have Banshee being able to catch up to the Cardinal Madre, he realized that the Cardinal Madre is dead. Somebody had killed him off. And the question is now, who in the world had killed off the Cardinal Madre? And that would be Abyss. Now, for Banshee, this is his first time meeting Abyss. And really, at first, you have Banshee being very calm meeting this new character in his life. But the thing is, as you have the 2 characters talk to one another, you did have Abyss reveal that he has a young boy trapped inside of him. The same young boy we saw earlier. Now, for Abyss, he also has another ability, the idea to spread fear into other people. And so for Banshee, he is freaking out right now because there is a young boy who's currently trapped inside of Abyss, but at the same time, it's Abyss kind of adding fear into the mind of Banshee. Now, you have Abyss tell Banshee what he wants, and he says he wants a son of Magneto. And so you have Banshee just fly away to go tell Quicksilver, like, hey, listen, there's a guy out there known as Abyss who basically wants you because you are the son of Magneto. But once you have Banshee being able to catch up with the rest of the X-Men team, he finds a crowd of people just freaking out, and most likely because of Abyss. The whole idea of him being able to put fear into their minds. Now, you have Banshee say, hey, listen, I know the person who is right now responsible for all of this mess. And he tells Quicksilver it's Abyss who wants to see Quicksilver. Now, for Quicksilver, he says, no, I'm busy at the moment. But you have Banshee say, Pietro, he has a child. And so for Quicksilver, that right there is a problem, because for Pietro, he hates the idea of bad guys trying to use a child as a way to achieve some kind of goal. Really, he hates the idea of a child being used in some negative type of way, or a child being put in danger. And so you have Pietro say, you know what? It's time for me to go ahead and meet this Abyss person. Now for Storm, she wants to go with him. Now in this reality, we kind of got the idea of Storm and Quicksilver possibly being a couple. They're not official just yet, but it clearly shows that these 2 characters have some major feelings for one another. But it's her saying like, I'm going with you no matter what, as a way to back you up. And honestly, this is a very cool moment for Quicksilver because you do have Quicksilver being able to go with Storm, and technically they do fall into the trap of Abyss, but you really have Quicksilver being able to defeat Abyss, which honestly is kind of sad for Abyss, but a very cool moment for Pietro because he is able to kind of make Abyss go inside his own body. And remember, inside the body of Abyss is his own dark dimension. And so with Abyss going inside his own body, is him right now going into his own dark dimension. It's really kind of cool to see Pietro being able to kind of do that to Abyss as a way to save the child, but to also save Storm's life as well. Now, once you have Quicksilver and Storm being able to rejoin with the rest of the X-Men, we do learn that the rest of the X-Men were able to reprogram the Sentinels to no longer attack them. Their primary goal is to protect human lives. And the Sentinels realize, hey, these X-Men are trying to help us to protect human lives. These X-Men are not really bad people, so let's not attack them and actually use their help. Now, for Storm and Quicksilver, it's kind of like, if robots have the ability to realize that it's better to work together rather than fight against one another, it's now they're wondering in the possibility, can humans and mutants also work together as well in harmony? But now we have to jump over to the base of Apocalypse, where we do pick up with Rex and also Sebastian Shaw going out of their way to interrogate a character known as Karma. Now, for Karma, she works at the club known as Heaven. And remember, Heaven belongs to Angel. It's supposed to be neutral grounds for both mutants and humans. Neither side is allowed to attack the other side. But apparently Sebastian Shaw saw Gambit talk to Angel, and that took place back in X-Men Alpha #1. And so right now it's Rex and also Shaw saying, Karma, you work at the club, which means most likely you might know where the X-Men are currently staying at. So go ahead and tell us where the X-Men are at. Now for Apocalypse, he already knows where the X-Men are hiding, the old home of Charles Xavier. But for Apocalypse, he's getting very tired of Magneto. And so this is him saying sooner or later, he'll have to go ahead and handle Magneto once and for all. But now we have to jump over to Factor X issue #2. Now, Factor X is really more about the idea of us seeing Cyclops trying to figure out why in the world Mr. Sinister had left the side of Apocalypse. Because in his timeline, Mr. Sinister was a horseman of Apocalypse. But then he just dipped out in X-Men Alpha because he believes that Apocalypse is going to ruin everything that he had created. But also the whole idea of war against the humans is a bad idea. But for Cyclops, he has no idea what his adoptive father had truly created. And so as we dive into issue #2, we're going to pick up with a brand new character for this reality. Like, for example, we do pick up in the breeding pens first. Now, the breeding pens are really more of Mr. Sinister's creation. Let me explain. The breeding pens were used by Sinister as a way to collect mutants and humans because his main goal was to find a way to evolve the mutant race. Now, here's the catch, because he also wants to make sure that prisoners did not escape. And so what he did was he had these 6 telepath brains being able to send out a message to all the prisoner brains to make sure they did not want to escape at all. They wanted to stay inside their prison cells. Now, some of the prisoners were not really affected by this tactic, and so you did have some prisoners try to escape, except outside their cells were all these different weapons to make sure if you did escape your cell, you were going to die. Now, there was one person who kind of knew how to get inside to help people escape, and that would be Magneto. And so as we get into the opening pages of this storyline, it's really more of us picking up with Magneto trying to sneak into the breeding pens. And really, it's Magneto going there to save 2 people, but technically 3 because one did tag along. But the problem is for Magneto, he can only save 2 at the moment. He has to tell the third person like, hey, listen, if I bring you, things might go south. I need to come back for you later on. Now, for Polaris, she hates the idea of being left behind. Oh yeah, by the way, the third person is Polaris. Now remember, in this reality for Polaris, she's powerless because Rogue took her powers instead of Carol Danvers. But with all that being said, once you do have Magneto leave, Polaris begins to break down and cry. Now, it's not only because she's still a prisoner, it's also because she realized Magneto did not recognize her because she says, "I am your daughter." Now, when it came to old timeline for Marvel Comics, Polaris still had not discovered that she was the daughter of Magneto. At that point, it was only Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, and that was really it. But in this reality, it seems like she does know that she is the daughter of Magneto. But now we have to jump over to Apocalypse. Now, when we do, it's really more of Apocalypse trying to express that he's very angry about the idea that Mr. Sinister had left his side. Now, he also knows that Mr. Sinister is somebody who's playing a game right now and really playing a game of hoping to get rid of Apocalypse. And so for Apocalypse, he's up to the challenge to take on Mr. Sinister to actually defeat him because for Apocalypse, the dude has been around for a very long time. He had killed off countless of his enemies over the years. And so for him, it's kind of like, this is just another challenge that I will be able to win very easily. Now, while he was kind of expressing his anger, you have Cyclops keep his cool and say, "Hey, listen, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister is somebody you can't take lightly. Lightly, sorry. But either way, it's him saying he's somebody you can't take lightly because if you do, then he'll be able to actually win over you." And so for Apocalypse, he loves the idea that Cyclops kept his cool while he was expressing his anger. And so for Apocalypse, he realized that maybe Cyclops does have the ability to be a horseman of Apocalypse down the road. Now, as soon as Apocalypse tells Cyclops that, it ticks off Havok, because remember, in this reality for Havok, he truly does hate his brother a lot because he believes that his brother is always getting treated better than him. And technically, that's true because Mr. Sinister has gone out of his way to really praise Cyclops more than Alex. And the same goes for almost everybody else, including Apocalypse as well. And so for Havok, he hates the idea of hearing that his brother might get the chance to become a horseman of Apocalypse. It's just not fair for Havok. And so you do have Scott Summers say, "Listen, I am a higher ranking officer than you are. And right now I'm telling you to figure out how in the world prisoners are being able to escape from the breeding pens. Figure it out and make sure it does not happen again." And you have Scott leave. And so then you have Havok go meet up with the Guthrie siblings. Now, the Guthrie siblings are Elizabeth and Sam Guthrie. Now, Sam Guthrie is really important because he's well known as Cannonball in the old timeline. Now, they do have a third sibling, and that'll be Paige Guthrie. And Paige Guthrie is better known as Husk. But in this reality, Paige is on the side of Magneto, while Sam and Elizabeth, they're on the side of Apocalypse. Now, when it comes to Elizabeth, in the old timeline, her powers did not manifest yet, but in this reality, they had. Now, with these two siblings of the Guthries, they're on guard to watch over the breeding pens, and you have Havok go to them wondering how in the world prisoners are being able to escape. Now, you do have all three characters watch a video of the previous night, where you have Magneto being able to sneak in to help some people escape. The problem is that they can't see Magneto on the camera, but they do see Polaris was there the entire time, and apparently she was left behind. And so for our three characters, they're kind of like, you know what, let's go ahead and question her, because she might be able to tell us how in the world prisoners are being able to escape from the breeding pens. And so you do have our characters go out of their way to question Polaris. Now, when they do, it does kind of get brought up here that when it comes to Polaris, there was a moment in time where they have believed that she could have been the daughter of Magneto. Now, in the old Marvel timeline, that was still not confirmed yet. Matter of fact, for Polaris, she believed that she belonged to a different set of parents, not Magneto. It wasn't told to us until later on that she is the daughter of Magneto. And so in this timeline, it's kind of like Marvel once again teasing us with the possibility of her being the daughter of Magneto. But at this point in the timeline, you have all three characters believe that Polaris is completely powerless, thanks to Rogue. But you didn't have Polaris show that's not the case. She still has some power left to use as a way to defend herself against Alex Summers. Now for Alex, at first, he was trying to be nice to her by telling her his real name to kind of bond with her, to learn what happened the previous night. But he got tired of waiting, and so he went ahead and just knocked her out when she tried to use her powers against him. But after doing that, he said, you know what? Let's go ahead and take her over to Hank McCoy. We can use him as a way to learn what exactly happened in the previous night. And let's not forget that in this reality, Dark Beast is truly messed up because he didn't have Charles Xavier by his side. He had Mr. Sinister by his side to kind of lead him down a dark path. Somebody who began to fall in love with the idea of playing with genetics. Now, with all that being said, for Dark Beast, we also kind of use him as a way to learn about the origin of Polaris in this reality. Now, it's a very short origin story. It's the whole idea that basically she had parents who were humans. They died in the early days when it came to Apocalypse trying to take over North America, which he did. But after their death, it broke her mind. But then over the years, she tried her best to use her powers the best she can until she ran into Rogue. As we all know, Rogue was able to take at least half of her powers. Now, after that, you have Dark Beast say, hey, don't worry. I think I have a way to dive into her mind to learn more about what happened on the previous night. But now we have to pick up with, well, Cyclops, who's meeting up with Angel. Now remember, in this reality for Angel, besides being a nightclub owner, this dude has information on both sides, mutants and humans. If you want intel, you go over to Angel. But here's the thing, because it does seem like Angel had basically got information about Mr. Sinister possibly leaving the side of Apocalypse. But Angel's also kind of telling Cyclops here, like, hey, listen, I also heard that your boss, Apocalypse, might go to war with the humans. And that right there is bad for business. So it really shows for Angel, he hates the idea of both sides going to war because, again, it'd be bad for his nightclub. Now, we also get reminded about the fact that, okay, Havok is dating a girl known as Scarlet. Scarlet works at the nightclub that Angel owns. She's a singer there. The problem is that Scarlet is a human, and that is a huge no-no for Apocalypse. If you are a mutant, you should not be dating someone who is a human, or really trying to bang somebody who is a human. Now, with all that being said, you also have Havok telling Scarlet that he's trying his best to get rid of his brother. Now, as he walks away, we also learn here that Scarlet is a spy for somebody. We have no idea who, but she is a spy, and of course, she's collecting information about Havok and the rest of his team, like the Bedlam brothers and also Cyclops. But let's go ahead and get into the ending of this storyline, because the ending is pretty wild. Okay, so you have Cyclops go in the lab of Dark Beast, and when he does, he realizes that Dark Beast is trying to interrogate Polaris in a very unique type of way. And for Cyclops, it's a huge no-no in what Dark Beast is trying to do to Polaris. And so you have Cyclops tell Dark Beast, hey, you gotta stop. Now, Dark Beast tells Cyclops, like, hey, your brother Havok was the one who told me to do this because we're trying our best to figure out how in the world prisoners are being able to escape from the breeding pens. But for Cyclops, he does not care. He said, you know what? This is wrong. And the Cyclops, he's kind of like, listen, I don't know you heard, but Apocalypse is trying to make a deal with the humans. And that's true. He is trying to make a deal with the humans, but in reality, it's a fake deal because for Apocalypse, his main goal is to go ahead and still kill off the human race. But for Cyclops, he truly believes that his boss, his master, is trying to bring peace between humans and mutants. But either way, he does stop Dark Beasts. But that's not even the wild part because, okay, you have Cyclops come in the night to help Polaris to escape, which he is able to do, but he learned a hood over his head. Now, you do have Northstar and Aurora appear, and when they do, it's really more of them trying their best to stop Cyclops from being able to help Polaris escape. Now, they can't tell it is Cyclops, and really, with the powers of Polaris and also Cyclops, they were kind of able to defeat Northstar and Aurora as well. But the problem is that right after you have Polaris get on a boat that will help her get away from the breeding pens, as soon as Cyclops takes off his hood, Havok sees his brother from a distance and realizes what his brother truly did. And so now he has intel on his brother to ruin his brother's career in the forests of Apocalypse. And this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.